going on, everyone? We're out here in North Carolina again. Ben's with me. He's just over here rigging up some stuff. And today we're going to talk about a couple things. We got low water situation with this tailwater that we're fishing today. They got the generation cut off. So we're going to talk about how to break apart water for spooky fish. And we're going to talk about how to approach water without spooking fish. Bam!
Whoops!
That's what you're not supposed to do. So,
What'd he do?
wow. So there's that. So take notes on that. That's not how you enter a new hole.
The opposite.
Yeah, the opposite. But yeah, we're going to break apart how to enter water without making a lot of noise and approach these fish very stealthily and see what we can do.
Let's do it. Alright, so we got this just nice little riffle coming right here by this building, a little bit deeper. What's crazy about this river is when this is generating, I mean, it's about up to my head. So there's pretty cool fish in it, low water. You can pull sometimes a lot more fish even when it's generating, but just a totally different river. Let's see if we can pull one out of here. Yeah! Woo! That's a big one! So we slid over to that little side riffle over there and pulled this really nice rainbow. Real pretty. It's a stalker. It's just it's a pretty holdover, but for sure put up a good fight. Get a release for it.
Well, just watched Ben catch that nice fish out of that run down there. That was pretty cool. Nice fish. Like Ben was saying, there's some good fish in this river, and sometimes you get a better chance to catch them when it's not generating. Mainly because you can get closer to where those fish are. Most of the time, you can't get anywhere near that side unless you're on the side of the river where that restaurant is. And when you're over there fishing from the bank, it's a little tough. But now, we're in this more pocket water stretch. I'm going to show you how I go about breaking apart this water. First thing I do is assess it to see how the water looks, to see where depth is, to see where it's shallow, and to see where fish would be holding around structure as far as rocks or tree limbs or whatever's in the water. We have this rock here. There's a soft cushion in front of it. It's pretty shallow, but there could be a fish in it. So I'm going to take a cast in there just to see. And there's a fish right there in front of that rock where it should be. Pretty little wild rainbow. A little grouchy, but it's okay. Pretty fish. So, like you just saw, that fish was sitting in that little cushion right in front of that rock. Not a very deep pocket, but I see a lot of people, especially beginner urinifying people, that in my mind and everybody else's mind, that far seam where that slow water is looks the best, and it might be the best. And a lot of people will skip over where I just caught that fish to go straight to that far side, and they will pass up a chance to catch that fish that I just caught. Most of the time in those pockets, there's usually only one, sometimes two. I'll make another cast just to see if there's another one. Nope, nobody in there. So now what I'm going to do is walk out really slow. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to stumble over anything. There's a seam in the middle of this run, in the middle of the fast water, that could potentially hold a fish. So I'm going to hit it next, right in there. Maybe missed one right there. If you think you missed a fish, it's always good to check it, make sure it wasn't just the bottom. So nothing happened again, so I'm pretty sure I missed one right there. Always check my flies for moss or anything after I make a few drifts. Now I'm just gonna grid this off even more, take a few more steps out, work my way to this farther side. Nothing there, it's a little bit fast, so I'm just gonna move out just a hair. And now I'm gonna hit this good looking seam on the edge, see if anybody's holding there. And I typically try to cover the back of the hole first before I work all the way to the top. There's another fish. Sitting kind of on the far side, a little bit in the back of the run. Another little wild rainbow. Pretty fish. Now I'm just going to work the top bit of that little seam, see if there could potentially be another fish in there. There's another one. He was sitting a little farther back, but always, even if you fished the back of the run already, let the flies continue to drift back even if you fish the top of the run, because sometimes it'll swing a little higher in the water column and there'll be a fish there that sees that swing movement and it gets their attention and they will eat it even after you've made what we call a dead drift or a drag-free drift. So it's always good to just let those flies continue to drift. Swing them at the end after you've already covered the back of the run. Do a couple more on the head of this and see if I can pull one more out. Wind's messing with me a little bit on that one. It's a little faster at the top, it's a little harder to get it down. So I'm going to go a little over in the slower water. One more. Again, I'm just going to let it swing out right there. Even let it swing down into that next little pocket. Oh, just missed one right there. Try that one more time. Alright, but yeah, that's just a general representation of how I go about covering pocket water. And this is a good little pocket water looking stretch. You have this soft pocket right here that there is a fish in. Pulled a couple out from over there. And just remember those little key things. Just really take the time to assess what's around you and take the time to cover that water. I can go all the way up to that bank over there and all the way up and just keep doing that. And if it stays consistent, you could potentially catch, you know, I caught 3 or 4 right here. You could potentially catch 3 or 4 in every one of these pockets. And before you know it, have 20 plus fish, where most people would go up through here and just hit the good looking water and maybe catch 4 or 5. So it makes that big of a difference.
All right, so Jacob just touched on breaking down pocket water. I'm gonna talk about breaking down the slower moving water and how to just come up across it. So the first thing I'm gonna do when I come up to a run like this is kind of think about, well, these fish are pretty spooky to indentions on the water. So indentions being, you know, riffles on the water, casting real hard. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fish this and kind of just break it down as we go. So just like Jacob said, he usually starts on the back into that run and works his way up. So we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna start back here in the back. And the first thing I like to touch on is using your eyes. Use your eyes to look for fish. Because a lot of times you'll come up on a hole. I've seen a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too. It's just walking up on a hole really fast, and regretting it about 5 seconds later, seeing, you know, a big brown or something swim off, and that fish won't eat again. So let's go ahead and start fishing this run and break it down. Let's do it. So we got the back end, so we're just gonna ease in real slow. Make a couple casts. Try to break it down a little bit quicker. think I missed a fish there, but we're gonna keep moving up. Alright, so I tried to stay as low as possible, kind of had to cross these rocks. Now I'm starting this real slow water. So when you're walking, you don't want to drag your feet really hard. A lot of times you can pick your feet up completely out of the water and just set them down real soft, or you can just slide them across the bottom. You just don't want to make a wake going across. One of the best techniques that I use a lot is cider floating in this flat water. So what I'll do basically, is just casting your flies out there and letting that cider sit on the water and wait for your cider to move just like that. Waiting for that cider to jolt down or just do something odd. Like that. Just a little guy. But it's a deadly, deadly technique to learn and to have under your belt. Pretty little fish. Another thing too is I'll see people go out too quick, especially in big holes like this. They'll start in the back and they'll think they're fishing slow, but they'll work their way out too far and get too deep. A lot of times in this slower hole, especially since we're on a generation kind of reservoir, I guess you could say, the fish a lot of times will sit in places that you wouldn't think they'd sit. So they'll sit in water that's 2 inches deep, but when it's generating, that's 3 to 4 feet deep. So fishing water that you normally wouldn't fish is a really good asset to have. Oh yeah. Tangled up everything.
Alright, so we just watched Ben cover the back part of this run, which is a little slower than the top half. The next thing we're going to cover today, and probably the final thing of the day, just so we can get some more fishing in and have some fun, is a riffle. And a riffle is just a long, continuous run that has a little bit of broken water, but it's not super fast and it's not super, super slow. Riffles are places that I love to fish, and that fish are always really packed into these runs. If you had somebody that came up and asked me what would be my favorite water to fish, I would probably say a long riffle, just because the number of fish that can sit in them. So first thing I do, just like before, I'll start off just working kind of the side seam, what I like to call a micro riffle. Normally if there's a riffle, there's usually slower water around it, and then you'll have like a secondary riffle. Sometimes those fish will hold in them, sometimes they won't, but it's always good to try. I think I may have missed one right there, but we're going to go ahead and move out. Notice it gradually gets a little bit deeper as I walk out, but I'm just real careful not to push a lot of a wake out. Just taking my time. I'm going to fish close seam in this riffle. Down to about right in here. I'm just going to give a little false hook set just in case anybody's home. Water turned on. Alright, so
Better make it quick.
don't know if y'all can see this or not, but the generation just turned on. The water's getting slightly deeper. Make one more cast and then probably get the heck out of here because it might get a little dangerous. And nobody there. It's getting a little deeper, so I'm gonna go ahead and get out. Alright, so yeah, video got cut a little bit short because the water started coming up on us. You may be able to see it literally rise as we're talking right here, but hopefully what we talked about today will really help y'all out and really help y'all cover water better and pick up more fish, because I know a lot of people struggle with reading the water, knowing that fish will sit in water this deep just as much as they'll sit in water that deep. And once you kind of get used to that, it really makes a big difference. And I want to note another thing. We did not change fly sizes the whole time. I was running a 3/0 bead on the bottom and a 2.5 on top, and I'm pretty sure Ben was running the same. And what that'll do is allows you to be able to get in the deeper water, but as soon as you get into the shallower stuff, all you have to do is change the angle of your sighter. Instead of it going in the water more vertically, you just kind of tilt it more where it's going almost at a very low angle, probably, I don't know, what?
45?
Maybe not even 45 degrees,
Yeah.
just sometimes even shallower than that.
Right.
And it'll really help just be able to, you know, cover a lot of water without changing flies and overthinking. I see a lot of people that overthink everything, when a lot of times it's just something as simple as just changing the angle of your sighter. And
yeah, the river's changed a lot.
You can really see it now that it's come up a lot. That's
yeah,
what
just
happens.
from our last clip that we just had, you kind of started seeing it rise just then. But I know we might fish it just a little bit now that it's turned on.
Yeah, we'll probably fun fish it for a little bit, but I'm not going to video anything, because last thing I want is my camera and my tripod to get swept down the river, gone forever. So, but yeah, fun little session.
Yeah.
And also one thing I want to note, a lot of this stuff that you're going to see in this video, or that you did see in this video, was non-edited. Like, these clips are not going to be, you know, clipped out and pieces added together. This was us live fishing, just working through a run, and not really, you know, fish a run, nothing, and then, oh, we catch a fish and put it together. This was actually us explaining how we worked through a run, and you see how effective that it was and how well that we did in a short amount of time. So, some good stuff for y'all to learn and hopefully take in. And let us know in the comments if you do any good with it, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, line's tight.